Hello, fellow platforms of the world. Well, it's Wednesday, the 24th of March 2012. It's been almost a year, or just over a year, since this bullshit started. You know, the biological warfare that we're not allowed to talk about. Either released on purpose, or in an act of war, or not in an act of war. But they're quite happy to take this opportunity to use it for their own advantage. Anyway, there's all this bullshit going around right now about vaccine passports. Now, there was loads of stuff on social media, loads of stuff on that box there in regards to it. As I don't watch that box, I don't really hear about it. I kind of get sent links to it. I only ever put the TV on in the morning for 10 minutes while I get dressed before I go to work. And even then I don't take much notice. So there's this whole thing, especially in communist Europe. I'm going to start calling it that because you might as well. Marxism, communist Europe are getting really funny. They're trying to restrict our vaccines coming into our country, our vaccines going out. Who can have them, who can't have them. If you can travel, if you can't. There's a handful of countries, like Turkey, I think is one of them, who said, we're not going to do that. Just come anyway. So it's going to be one of those things. You're going to have the odd backwards country that's going to come up with something. Now, if I know our government, we'll have something, but it would be like one of these sort of things. It'd be like, I have a vaccine certificate to say you've had a vaccine. You can piss in this test that'll cost you £100 and you have to do it on the way out and on the way back. Or you self-isolate on the way back. So you have three options, and one of them will be free, because that's the vaccine, that's the easiest, convenient way, and it would be on an application to make it easy. To have a test that will cost you money, most people won't do that, but someone out of principle, I would, out of principle. And three, the people who are quarantined when they come back, which is really quite difficult when you're not self-employed and you need to earn money. But I'd like to add to this as well, while I'm thinking, one of my friends at work rang his insurance company to ask them if his life insurance and his accidental death insurance covered him if he had the vaccine. It took several phone calls, several emails to get to the point of them saying that no, he's not covered. Great that, isn't it? Like, kind of tells you something. The fact that the government are trying to force vaccines into your human body says to me, wow. Anyway, so this petition was thing. There's 261,000 of us who put a signature on a government document to say that we didn't want passports, etc. So anyway, then what can happen then when it's heard in Parliament? They can then request for us to submit evidence as to why we feel that's the case. So there was 3 questions. Actually, there's 2 questions and then a section where you can write what you want, but not too long-winded, they said. Well, the first question was, are you a corporation? Are you a union rep? Are you an individual? Are you loads of different avenues of things? So obviously I'm an individual. Then the next one listed about 18 or 19 different reasons as to why we think that a vaccine passport's a bad idea. And the ones that stuck out for me really nicely were efficacy and what's it called? Anti-discrimination. You know, like efficacy and what was it? Oh, fuck me. I can't think what do you call it? Jesus Christ. Discrimination. It's discrimination, right? So I picked these 2 different categories as to why, the integrity of it, etc. So I then submitted a little bit underneath because I thought I've got to tell these people what I think. Apparently I'm not very good at English, so, you know, you'd think that I would be able to write something like this, but I did. My grammatical English is appalling, basically, because 2 sounds like 2, doesn't matter how you spell it, does it? So does 4, doesn't matter if it's a number or not a number. I have little issues with that. And phonetics, you know, don't tell me it's an uppercase phonetic in one fucking word and then a lowercase in another. What do you think I am? It's not logical. Give me binary, we'll be happy. Anyway, so I answered, so I basically left a short little description as to why I was against vaccine passports. I wrote this. Yes, I thought I lived in a free and democratic world. It seems closer to a Nazi dictatorship using media propaganda to create fear, conquer and divide the world under the guise of biological warfare that clearly does not have the death rate or infection rate predicted. I am healthy and trust my immune system, not some backwards, non-tested science pushed by corporations only interested in profit and growth. Pharmacy. You only make a profit out of people who are sick. Bill Gates once said on a TED video, "I wish to control the population with the use of vaccines," while talking about environmental impact of the human race and needing to reduce the population by 95%. The same man selling the vaccines now. The efficacy is startling. The British Brainwashing Corporation, in brackets BBC, propaganda is beyond shocking. I'm glad I don't watch TV. If the British government go down any route on vaccine passports or certificates, then I ask myself why anyone fought in any wars. One world government, total control. Next it'll be curfews at night. I added that because we've been this curfew shit to do with women walking around at night. Men were going to be locked up. It's one of my friends texted me. I literally gave up with democracy, as do a huge portion of the population. Don't matter what I write, as the masters of the puppets will supersede anything a mere peasant says, won't it? So, I'm hoping that everyone else has actually... Well, I took a screenshot, I don't know. I'm hoping that everyone else has had the time and patience to go and fill this in and say what they think. Now, I might have even mentioned it on the vlog I mentioned the other day. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this already. But it's not a bad thing to mention it again, because we all need to not back down to this sort of shit, because it's just totally... you know, principally, if this was a fucking virus that killed 50% of the population, if you got it, you'd understand the panic. But it doesn't. You know, what, 97.8% of the population will survive. What, is the vaccine going to increase it to 98.7? It's just the ludicrousy of it. It's ridiculous. And a lot of people can see it, but a lot of people are too busy in this narrow box, consuming and not wanting to step outside the box and just, you know, get on with life, that they don't see the sense. You know, you've got qualified people saying things about science and vaccines and hand washing. You know, this one the BBC, right? There was this doctor who was saying about, oh, you know, I can see face coverings and you know, I think that it being something that's an indefinite thing, I can't imagine myself getting in a lift with someone without a mask on. It's like, you know, we've seen the decline in novaviruses and flu and da-da-da. We've just seen the decline in novaviruses and flu because every fucking symptom is related to COVID. There's been no other sickness other than fucking COVID, because no, excuse me, cunt knows the difference, do they? They think, oh, got a cough, must be COVID, got a snotty nose, must be COVID, got a temperature, oh, it's got to be COVID. Why is that then? Oh, let's test it. It's a coronavirus. Oh, what's a cold? Oh, it's a coronavirus. What's the flu? Oh, it's a coronavirus. What's SARS? Oh, it's a coronavirus. What's pneumonia? It's a coronavirus. What's bronchitis? It's a coronavirus. What's a chest infection? It's a coronavirus. How many people do you know have had a chest infection? You don't catch chest infections. It's an infection that stemmed from something that you haven't dealt with. So if you get a cold and it goes to your chest and then you get infected because you haven't really been out, you carried on working, you're not resting, you're not allowing your body to mend, you haven't used antioxidants, you haven't used anti-inflammatories, you haven't actually used anything to kind of try and help your body deal with the inflammation that's attacking you, it could turn into a chest infection, which then in turn could turn into pneumonia or bronchitis, and then maybe death. You know, people do die because of neglect, and a lot of people do actually get to the bronchitis and pneumonia stage, usually by neglect, and it's mainly young men who live on their own over 50. Right? You know, it's a well-known fact that married women live to 65, unmarried women live to 75, but single men live to 55. So why the fuck do women give up 10 years of their life to look after men? I've never quite understood the concept of that. You know, women, man up, right? Excuse the fucking term, but man the fuck up. You know, don't let a man take 10 years of your life away from you. Okay, having children might not help, you know, because there's a little bit of hair there I'm not happy with. Look, oh, how dare you not be in the right place? Look, it's just it is the end of the day. But there's going to be this divide soon, to the point where you've got one side of the population who will just obey. Oh, we're obedient. We'll do as we're told, and we won't question. Why is that? Oh, fucking screensaver's turned up now. Oh, you cunt. Just... I hate it when it does this. Makes my complexion look all wrong. There you go. Hint of red back there. So it actually gives my right skin colour instead of some fucking backwards monotone skin colour with some black background. But yeah, it seems there's going to be this divide in the world where you're going to have the unvaccinated and the vaccinated, to the point where I don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. Because the moment my employer turns around and says, it's mandatory for you to have a vaccine, I'll be like, why? I've got to. Out of fucking principle. That's when I go off grid, if you like. That's when I stop living in a flat and rent a room off someone and make money some other way. Because I can't. I'm not being forced to put something in my system that, one, I don't agree with, and two, it's just completely... It's a principle thing. It's beyond principle. It's just... It's like... To me, it's almost like, why on earth have we had all these wars and all this conflict and all these, you know, fights for freedom and people protesting and all these other things that people have done in the past for the human race to just bend over backwards and be fucked over a SARS virus that they don't even know the origins of, because no one really knows the answers to the question. Instead, they listen to the propaganda that's pumped out of that fucking box every day, because the British Brainwashing Corporation is nothing other than a propaganda machine. And if you can't see that, it's the biggest load of bullshit. News show, programme me, television. You know, that's supposed to be bias. That's supposed to have two sides of the story, but the moment you say, oh God, no, the moment you have a different opinion, you're shot down. Look at what they've done to Donald Trump. Have you noticed how America's not even been in the news? How often do you hear about Biden or anything to do with America? Every day they were attacking Trump. Every day, Trump's this, Trump's that, Trump's this, Trump's that, Trump's this, Trump's that. And all Trump done was done what the people asked him to do. He actually put more fucking things through than, you know, when someone gets elected into fucking government, you usually hear people go, well, he's gone back on the policies he said he was going to introduce. Who didn't do that? 9 out of 10 times. Donald Trump. But oh no, the establishment, the powers that be, don't want someone like that in charge, do they? Someone who questions the corporate fucking efficacies of everything else. Someone who questions, you know, people's well-being. But, you know, let's make him out to be some fucking tacky, orange, ginger-haired dickhead who treats women like crap. But it's okay to put a paedophile who goes around sniffing fucking young children in charge, and no one fucking, you know, children, and no one batters a fucking eyelid. It's absolutely nonsense. I actually think the human race has gone clinically insane. You know, people try and make me out to be the fucking one. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You've lost the plot. No, you should put a tinfoil on a tinfoil hat on your head. The ignorance is just absolutely shocking. You know, anyone who actually turns around and has a go at someone for questioning the norm is there's something wrong. Are you just going to blindly be fucked up the arse every day? Oh, it's okay. They told me to do it. Let's go and do it, shall we? Oh, it's all right. He told me to pull the trigger. Oh, it's all right. He told me to jump off the bridge. He told me to do that. You've seen that experiment where they fucking electrocute someone to near death, and then the moment the fucking person who's electrocuted it turns around and goes, I ain't electrocuted anymore, and the person who's fucking in charge of the test goes, I'll take responsibility, electrocute him. How many people carry on electrocuting them? Most of them, because they don't take responsibility for their own fucking actions. And that's what a lot of the problem is in this world. The human race does not take responsibility for its own actions. Happy Wednesday. Peace, love and light.